Hey, it's Chris from Even Flow. After that last video I shot, it was a little dark. I shot it at night. That person that I may or may not be close to, who I may or may not live with, but I actually live with, said we should probably just go back to the ceiling lighting and just deal with all of the forehead glare. So if I can deal with it, you can deal with it. Hopefully it's not too distracting. I'd like to talk a little bit about something pretty serious today. I live in the Charleston area, and if you watch the news over the last 18 months, you realize some pretty tragic events have happened here, from the shooting of an unarmed black man, Walter Scott, by the police, to 9 people being gunned down in the Mother Emanuel Church back in June. That one struck a little bit of a chord for me because I work downtown and I walk by that church twice a day. And it was awful. It was terrible walking by that every day, seeing the repercussions and what everybody was going through. But at the same time, it was heartening because you saw a city come together. If you watched the news, you saw thousands of people span the Arthur Ravenel Bridge in a sign of solidarity. And then when I was walking by the church every day, I could see people coming together arm in arm and saying, we're not going to let this beat us down. However, that doesn't mean tensions don't exist. That doesn't mean conflict isn't present, because it definitely is within the community. But we have really battled against that, and I'm very proud of the city for doing so. Now, I subscribe to this little academic journal. It's called Conflict Resolution Quarterly, and I'd like to read a couple of passages here. Some authors, specifically Dennis Sandel and Ingrid Starosty, I hope I'm saying those right. They're from George Mason University in Virginia. They did a study about, it was a gender-based analysis in sustainable peace building. And I want to hopefully compare, it's apples and oranges, but compare what they're talking about with what's happening here in Charleston. And I'd really like to get a discussion started here and see what your thoughts are, as if they relate, if they do not relate. But I wanted to start by reading a couple of passages from the study. And basically what it's saying is they focused on war-torn countries, which I know is completely different from what we're dealing with here. However, I think there might be some similarities here. So I wanted to start off with a quote from Swanee Hunt, who works at the Kennedy Center at Harvard. And she said, "We must bring women who have their fingers on the pulse of their communities to join the war makers around the decision-making table." They go on to say, the authors, because women are traditionally deeply rooted in their communities, they have a unique awareness of communal needs for security. Also, because women are perceived as politically powerless, they are not considered a threat. As a result, women are often thrust into the role of mediator between warring factions, becoming pivotal in initiating talks and/or ensuring that communication channels remain open. And when I was reading that, it kind of struck a chord with me because that's kind of what we're dealing with here. We're not a war-torn country. However, we're dealing with some pretty disgusting things going on within our communities. And it's not unique to Charleston in the sense that there's racial divides and other divides going on. However, I would like to see if possibly having more women involved in these types of negotiations and facilitations might help the process. I have the honor and privilege of serving on a committee or in a group called the Illumination Project. It started here in Charleston, and what we're doing is we're acting as facilitators. We're bringing in members of law enforcement and members of the community and trying to bring them together and develop ideas of how we can, bury all of this distrust and how we can come together even stronger as a united front, and see if we can make a difference. And the purpose of the group, we're going to sit down in little small groups and say, what are your concerns as individuals? What are your concerns as law enforcement officers? And how can we reconcile those concerns to build a stronger community? And I'm wondering, after reading this article or reading this research study, what effect having maybe more women involved. Having gone through some of the training, I already see quite a few women involved. And because they are more involved in the community, at least based on the research, I wonder if they do have more of an insight into what can help. And I'm really interested in exploring that more, and I'm also interested in hearing you explore that more. I hope that's not too much of a controversial topic. I hope I haven't presented that in such a way that it's controversial. I'm genuinely curious. What are your thoughts about women in general being used to help facilitate peace and facilitate open dialogue and finding solutions to problems like we have? And it's certainly not, like I said, unique to Charleston. I'm originally from Louisiana, and we had our own issues there all the time. And then look what's been happening around the country over the last couple of years. It's every time you turn around, there's some example of violence going on. How can we stop this? And I'm just curious to see what your thoughts are. If we bring more women into it, are there enough women being involved? Is this study bunk? I want to know what you think. So if you have a thought, please chime in. Comment below. Subscribe to my channel if you like what we're talking about. And let me know what ideas, what other things you want to hear about. I'd really like to know what you think about this.